Good evening, everyone. It is now 6:30, so I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Note for the record that all members of council are present and accounted for. And as always, we begin our city council meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you're willing and able, please stand and join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for joining us here. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. City Council meeting and public hearing for August 18th, 2025. And if you have a printed agenda, I'll just note that the presentations and proclamations will be at the beginning of the meeting here. The first presentation will be the service presentation for Councilman Member Brian Will. Mr. Will, if you'll meet me down up front, please. You do not get to hide behind the dais today. No longer. So for those of you that aren't familiar, Councilman Will has been serving on our council for the previous 4 years. It's been a pleasure to work with him. And as traditions, when we have someone who is no longer serving in the Alpharetta City Council, we have a presentation for that. I believe the first time the obelisks were presented was in 2018 when myself and Chris Owens, Councilman Owens, had to step down to run to replace Deva Balal because he had stepped down to run for Secretary of State at that time. And at the time, Councilman Donald Mitchell was the mayor pro tem and actually served in that period. And during that time, he did present an obelisk acknowledging the service of the council members. And we've continued that tradition. We'll continue that again today. So for those of you who may not have paid close attention to Mr. Will's time here on the city of Alpharetta, he has been an extremely talented entrepreneur in the private sector for many years. And to have someone come into the city council that not only is an entrepreneur and a free market advocate, but also someone who has served this nation as a veteran. And he also spent a tremendous amount of time trying to bring some more of that private sector efficiency to our taxpayers and our organization. We're grateful for his service. And we're sorry to see you go, but we're very excited for your future.
Appreciate that.
Is there anything you would like to say? You may.
So I wanted to say a couple things about my favorite memories on council, and I promise it'll just be a couple minutes. And I remember when I first decided to run, the first one I talked to was John, and he asked me why, and I told him. And he said, you got to call Dan. So I called Dan, and Dan said, why do you want to run? And I told him. And Dan said, you know, city council is the only level of politics where you can talk to your friends, your neighbors, your fellow business owners, identify a problem, have it on the agenda, vote on it, and change it and make your city better within weeks. You can't do that at any other level. And that excited me about the opportunity to join the city council. So I ran, I got elected. I'm gonna give you 3 quick stories. I was very finance focused, and this is back when Bob was here. And I remember one of my first meetings, I was sitting in a conference room with Tom and Bob, and Tom and I are going at it. I don't know if you know this, but Tom's passionate. Not me, I'm very calm. And the conversation got a little heated, and we're going back and forth, and finally Tom pushes the papers across the room and he goes, "Fine, we won't do budgets." That's paraphrase. Tom gets up and leaves, and Bob stands up and he says, "Brian, if you'll let me, I will teach you how to get things done in city council." And that's when Bob became my first mentor, so I love Bob. I've had a great time on city council with the public safety liaison with John, lunches with the new soon-to-be chief Lindgren. Is he really the chief yet? You guys still got to vote on it, right?
It's not official.
Okay, in a few minutes, the new chief. Sitting through finance meetings with Brad, and I got to tell you, my favorite story on Brad is we're sitting in this finance meeting working on compression issues with the payroll system, and we got 5 of us in the room, and I said, "Brad, take all that data and put it in a pivot table." And he goes, "What's a pivot table?" And I said, "I have no idea, but you need to build one for the next meeting." And he came back the next meeting and goes, "I got a pivot table. I know what it is, and here's your data." It's just one of my favorite memories. Donald's hilarious. You know, Donald can be passionate. And Donald will get excited and he'll go, "Should I say something?" And I'm like, "You be you, Donald." And he does this thing and then he goes, "Did I go too far?" I'm like, "Probably." That's Donald. John, you can't see, is always on Google Earth. Every zoning issue, he's got Google Earth on 2 screens back there pointing at everything that's going on behind there. I love that. Dan, I would do something on council and Dan would do this. Just the look, that little side eye look. I used to love that. Running for the seat with Doug and Fergal, amazing addition to council. And I'll say this last thing. Oh wait, Chris could get a job in corporate America and make $1 million a year. Don't ever lose Chris. Jim has been an amazing mayor. I say this in meetings I go to. His demeanor, the way he handles this thing, Jim's a good mayor. And I appreciate the opportunity to work with you.
I guess I got to give you that $50 now. So we are truly blessed to have great leadership, and we appreciate your service, Brian. And we know you're not going far, regardless of what happens in the future. You are not going to be far, and we appreciate you. Thank you very much.
That's it. Oh, I get my elbow stone.
This is the presentation. It's heavy. Don't throw it at Tom. This is a presentation to Brian Wilt, City Council member from January 1st, 2022 to June 3rd, 2025. Congratulations for your service to the city of Alpharetta, Georgia.
Thank you. This is Thor's hammer, by the way.
Thank you, Brian.
Now the next proclamation will be a proclamation by the mayor and council of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia, honoring the career and memory of Marie Lewis Garrett. So if you would, those of you who are here on behalf of this presentation and proclamation, feel free to come forward.
Stephen.
Is there anything you'd like to say before we begin?
We were really wanting to say something after the president.
Okay, you can wait till after. So, this is a proclamation by the mayor and the council of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia, honoring the career and memory of Marie Lewis Garrett. Whereas, the city of Alpharetta mourns the passing of Marie Lewis Garrett, a respected resident, exemplary leader, and dedicated employee who served the city with incredible distinction. Mrs. Garrett passed away on August 10th, 2024. And whereas Marie Garrett was born on October 20th, 1953 on Governor's Island, New York, to Russell and Maria Lewis. And whereas Marie was united in love and marriage to her husband of 46 years, Steve, and was blessed with 3 remarkable sons, Stephen, Zachary, and Matthew, and 3 cherished grandchildren, Rachel, Grady, and Julia, who knew her affectionately as Oma. Whereas Marie dedicated her life to public service, she earned her undergraduate degree from the University of Georgia, go Dogs, and went on to receive a Master of Science from Georgia State University's College of Public and Urban Affairs in 1985. Throughout her career, she played a pivotal role in planning, managing, and consulting on the development of several cities in the Metro Atlanta region. And whereas in Alpharetta, Marie served as the Director of Planning and Community Development from February 1982 to May 1989, Assistant City Administrator from May 1989 to May 1992, and City Administrator for Development from May 1991 to March 1993. In her professional life, she was an accomplished lobbyist, grant writer, liaison, and manager. And whereas Marie was a visionary and dedicated to building a world-class city, she started her career with the city in 1982 when the population was just 3,128. Through her leadership, Marie helped chart Alpharetta's path to become the major employment hub in the Metro Atlanta region. She helped champion key private sector master plans that shaped Alpharetta's growth, ensuring the best outcomes and a lasting positive impact for our community. Her efforts include Mobile Land Development / Windward in 1989, Kingswood, Mansell Road in 1989, the Brookside Master Plan in 1989, Preston Ridge Master Plan in 1989, Mansell Ridge, Mansell Park in 1989, a lot happening in 1989, and then continued with the development of North Point Mall Home Mart in 1990. Now, therefore, we, the mayor, and the City Council of the City of Alpharetta do hereby recognize Marie Lewis Garrett for her passion for public service and her contributions to our city. This 18th day of August, 2025, by the Mayor and City Council of the City of Alpharetta, Georgia. Now I'd like to present this to you, and then we'll give you an opportunity to take a picture of the presentation.
Oh, he's a state one, if you don't mind. For any of you guys that have been around me for a while, you know I don't write things down. I normally am a little bit like the preacher across the street, the Baptist minister that just looks in his heart and finds something. But this one was a little too close to home and too important for me to make sure. I wanted to make sure I didn't leave anything out. And so first, let me get past the formalities. I won't read the whole resolution, Steve, but this is a formal House resolution by myself and Speaker Pro Tem Jan Jones, adopted March 31st, 2025 by the entire House of Representatives, and I am authorized on behalf of that House by the clerk and the Speaker to deliver this to you. And I thank the Mayor and the Council and the City of Alpharetta for providing us the venue to do that. So on behalf of the House of Representatives, it is my honor to present this resolution in memory of Marie Lewis Garrett. You know, Marie's life was one of service to her community and her family and to the people of Georgia. And she worked here with us in Alpharetta early, with me for about 3 months in early '93, on to be the city manager at Brookhaven and so many places in between. She helps shape communities all over this end of Georgia and really probably beyond. More than that, Marie was devoted wife, mother, and grandmother, and as the mayor mentioned, Oma. Don't we love that? Is there a better title in the world than Papa or Oma? Nana something. I mean, there's just nothing better than that. And she was dedicated to those grandchildren. That legacy shines the brightest for Marie. This resolution, Steve, is a small way that we can recognize her leadership and love and the lasting impact she had. You know, I'm told that lives are measured sometimes simply by the people and places they impact. Marie's life instead will be measured over the years for the impact she made on our future. Marie Garrett led a life that impacted people, that will impact people for generations. So on behalf of the House and my co-sponsor, Pro Tem Jan Jones, please accept this as a small tribute for her remarkable life and to us and to the family she showed dearly loved. I just tell you guys, thank you for sharing her. I know how many Monday nights or Thursday nights or Wednesday nights she wasn't at home because she was up here or in another hall with elected officials. And you all will never get that time back, and I know that's hard. But know she was doing what she loved, just like she loved you. And she made people better that will make people better for generations. I'd like to give you this on behalf of the House of Representatives. Letter in there too, Steve.
My name is Stephen Garrett. I'm Marie's oldest son, and on behalf of our family, I just wanted to begin by thanking the people of the city of Alpharetta, and especially State Rep Martin, for honoring our mother, Marie Garrett, with this recognition. Our mom dedicated her life to building stronger communities from Alpharetta to Johns Creek, Dunwoody, Sandy Springs, Milton, Brookhaven, Powder Springs, and Stone Mountain. She poured her heart into shaping cities that people are proud to call home. She was known as the Iron Lady because she stood firm in her decisions and was always guided by what was best for the community. I remember riding in the car with her along West Side Parkway right after one of the segments had opened up shortly after the expansion, and she was so proud of that achievement, and she was telling us all about the planning theory that goes into having parallel roads along a major highway, and some of that might have gone over our young heads, but and that how it would enable local connectivity and future growth. But when we rode on it, there was nothing there, and now look at it, bustling with development and expansion and extension. And like most times in our lives, she was right. And that was just one small part of her decades-long legacy of service and vision. She worked tirelessly, meeting with mayors, councils, business owners, and developers, and always turning challenges into opportunities. There were often late nights, whether at her desk or at what we used to call night meetings, which were the council meetings. I remember many times when we were little that she would get home late at night and maybe we'd wake up, or if we were already awake, and we'd joke with each other that you've got to get rid of those night meetings. But she never did. She was truly a dedicated public servant. Her commitment was never about herself, but about serving others and leaving behind something lasting. Even after 4 decades in city management, our mom continued to give back by teaching the next generation of leaders and finding a new way to serve. Our mom never thought that she would deserve a recognition like this, but we all know that she did. She changed the landscape of this community and so many others. She also built a legacy of family, 3 sons, 4 grandchildren, and a lifetime of love and encouragement. Her legacy is more than the city she helped build. It lives on in us, her family, her friends, and everyone whose lives she touched. On behalf of our family, thank you for honoring her today and ensuring that her work and her spirit will not be forgotten. Thank you.
Why don't we let the family finish first? Oh, okay. Did you want to speak?
Well, I was just, Mayor Pruitt from Canton, was not able to be here tonight, but he did send some bullet points. I don't know if you want to go with.
Mayor, you go first then.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I'm honored to be here. I'm more honored to be recognizing a wonderful lady. I will tell you that the day I met Marie Garrett, I just happened to be in City Hall. I don't know about you, but I had to go work a regular job sometimes. But I just happened to be in City Hall that day, and the city clerk comes in. She says, "Hey, there's a young lady who would like to meet you." So Marie comes in, and we have a nice meeting. And she's telling me, she says, "I'm a city planner." So she's telling me what she can do. And I thought, you know, in the position the city was in at the time, we probably needed somebody like that. So, Mr. Mayor, as you know, if you can't count to 4, things don't get done. Is that right?
Every time.
Well, I suggested that we give Marie a job. You guys probably don't know this either, but I didn't have 4 votes to hire her. So I did negotiate a part-time job. And so the city council said, okay, you can hire her for up to 30 hours a week. I don't know why the other 10 didn't work out, but that was the deal. So I called Marie. She accepted that. Now this is where it gets good. We had a presentation for a major corporation to locate in our city. But there's no place in Alpharetta at the time that we could host this meeting. So we had to go to Sandy Springs to a hotel and a restaurant to meet with this company. So I get up and make a presentation, introduce the city council, introduce Marie Garrett, and turn the meeting over to her. Well, she did an excellent job. Now keep in mind that I told you I didn't have the 4 votes to begin with. We're walking across the parking lot after the meeting, and one of those no votes says this, Mr. Mayor, "Man, we sure did a good job hiring her." But that's my story, but there's a whole lot more, and she did an outstanding job. Stephen, I appreciate you sharing her with us. It was a wonderful moment for us and time to have her guide this city. Mr. Mayor, thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You've been trying to give me this for all night, so here we go. I'm supposed to be reading Mayor Pruitt, who she did work for 11 years in Canton. As she left here, she tried to get Harry at Harry's Farmers Market to, kind of get him under control. Well, you know Harry, there's just no way to get him under control. So as he went public, he wanted to get mega stores, and she said, "No, Harry, you need to just stay with your mega store here in Alpharetta, and you'll be successful with a lot of smaller stores that you want to do Harry's in a hurry and things like that." So, no, Harry said, "Marie, I want you to go find something in Cobb County, down and over in Gwinnett, and then we're going to do something on the south side." She said, "No, I really think you need to do something in Nashville." Well, as it turned out, Nashville would have been a better option. He had to shut down Southside, but the mega stores that he created, or that she got the zoning and everything in place, when he went public, he lost control, and Harry losing control is not a good thing. When you have Arthur Blanks on the board and people like that, it's just, they had to wield a little bit more power than Harry did. So he didn't like that, and eventually, I was supposed to go by and take a picture. I think it's now bulldozed down. Is it? Do we know anything about that? But anyway, when she left Harry's, he went to Canton. And Mayor Pruitt was a little bit under the weather tonight, and he thought it may be more of a COVID related, and I said, stay home, send me bullet points, and I'll read them. So I'm not reading the same way he would do it, but I'll read the bullet points from Mayor Pruitt. Miss Marie Garrett, a lady that was an amazing city planner for growth and development. The city of Canton was a small town. It was expected to grow because of the 575 interstate that was being developed and constructed through our area. When she came here, we developed a 20-year plan for our city. First was residential development. There were 5 residential developments that were drawn up to be developed in our city. The first was Great Sky, the second Laurel Canyon, and that was a golf course community, and River Green, and then the Prominence Point 5. The commercial developments were Riverstone, Canton Marketplace, and we have a number of national known brands, Home Depot, Lowe's, Targets, Hobby Lobby, Kohl's, and on and on. Great restaurants along the way, Longhorn, Red Lobster, Outback, and at least 20 fast foods along the way of Riverstone Parkway. Canton is a special place because of Miss Marie Garrett. If you know anything about Canton, you can see her all the way down Riverstone Parkway. And most people just drive down the parkway and it's like it's been there their whole life, you know. And this city hall here is just absolutely gorgeous. But what I remember is the little city hall on the corner with the police department, the jail downstairs, and the Eagle Gym behind it, and the best chili cheeseburgers there were, and were served in the drugstore on the first floor. You could smell it all the way through City Hall. But I too appreciate this honor, and Chuck, it was very nice of you to do this and get it started, and you, Mayor, as well. It means a lot to my family, and 2 of them, the boys, were not able to make it. One lives in Miami, teaches at a private school, video production, and the youngest is in the Army and is in Augusta, Georgia. So one quick story is that before she passed, we were planning the wedding for the youngest, and she was instrumental in kind of getting the place, it was a destination wedding at the Highlands, of course, the most expensive place around here, you know. But we had that plan at the Old Edwards Inn, the spring house there. It was where we had the rehearsal dinner, and the boys said I held this thing way too long, you know, and I'm a little bit unhinged, and I don't really know when to stop talking. But as you probably are saying right now, I think you should lay this down. But we got the things planned, and she wanted him. He flew back from Korea to get married, and she wanted him to have them to have a honeymoon, a 4-day honeymoon. So the Old Edwards Inn was the host place that I got the bill for later, and we now have a honeymoon baby as the 4th grandchild. So she knew what she was doing. She was already planning his life out, and she planned all 3 of my boys, and the way she pushed them to get their degrees. And so I know, don't push me. All right, I've got 5 more. No, but thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. So the next item up on our agenda this evening is the consent agenda. Consent agenda consists of the City Council meeting minutes from the meeting of July 28th, 2025, the City Council meeting minutes from the special called meeting of July 23rd, 2025, the ratification of Purdue opioid settlement, the quitclaim deed and release for Haynes Park Neighborhood Association, the public access easement agreement with Chiswick subdivision, and the premises usage agreement with the Alpharetta First Methodist Church for the Wire and Wood Festival. Is there anyone on council who would like to remove anything from the consent agenda? Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards regarding the consent agenda?
We do not, Mr. Mayor.
However, if anyone would like to come forward and speak about the consent agenda, now's your chance. I see no one coming forward, so we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Hypes and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. So we'll move right along to the new business. New business, I believe, we have 3 items. I'll turn the floor over to Mr. Lagerbloom at this point.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, tonight we've got 3 consecutive, and we'll do them individually, in a row, recommendations for appointments to staff-level positions in our city. As you know, and we've talked about this in executive session for some length, we have the position that was vacated by Mr. Drinkard some time ago, as well as some opportunity, I think, to restructure a little bit, create some efficiencies, even at the end of it, reduce the position from our total allocation of full-time equivalent employees. So all around, this first one I want to bring up is I would like to appoint John Robison into that Assistant City Administrator role. John's been with us since 2017. Just an amazing leader, very committed to our organization, wants to expand his horizons beyond that world of public safety. I think I can give him that opportunity. I think he'll do a fabulous job for us. I want to set this organization up for success going forward so that we have some succession plan in place, one that we're not going to have to miss a beat as we continue to deliver good services. John will help in a true assistant capacity, establishing our staff strategy to meet your priorities and generally execute on those things that you all set as your vision for Alpharetta, since that's what we're here to do. And I would tonight seek your appointment for John Robison as our Assistant City Administrator.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Lagerbloom? Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards?
We do not, Mr. Mayor.
However, if there's anyone that would like to come forward and speak on this item, now is your chance. Seeing no one come forward, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I'd offer a motion this evening for a staff appointment as Assistant City Administrator and consideration approval for John Robinson as that Assistant City Administrator.
Second.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel and a second by Councilman Dorito. Is there any discussion, gentlemen? Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I echo a little bit what Chris said. I think it's an individual that has a lot to give. He's proven it in his public safety side. He's proven his leadership side. And when we talked multiple times over the last couple of years, I've always said, chase what you want to chase, whether it's here or somewhere else. Make sure you're happy. Make sure this is a career path you want to be on. And we've had many conversations in regards to that. And I couldn't be happier than to see my friend make that step. So thank you. Appreciate you, John.
Councilman Dorito.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief Robertson, congratulations. Well-deserved appointment as our new Assistant City Administrator. Well, almost. I've had the pleasure of working with Chief Robertson for almost the last 4 years, being on the council here. And I want to thank you for your dedication to the city, to the police, to the fire department, to EMS, to 911 Center, and coordinating and collaborating with sister cities around us in developing and upholding a public safety model in our city that I believe is the finest in the state, if not in the country. The men and women that you led, Chief, has excelled under your tutorship, or mentorship, I should say. And this city, as the rapid growth that we've have experienced, has maintained a level of public safety security that we've always wanted for Alpharetta for many years that I've lived here. So I want to thank you, Chief. The next two appointments that come behind you here are representative of your leadership, and this is a historic evening for the city of Alpharetta because we're not only changing the public safety model going forward, but we have someone who has led it to this point, still fulfilling an administrative position that will impact public safety for many years to come as well. So thank you, Chief.
Any other comments? All those in favor of the motion to approve, please vote yes, otherwise vote accordingly. And it does pass unanimously. Congratulations, sir. Welcome back to the third floor. Mr. Lagerblum?
Thank you, Mayor. We'll continue with a second recommendation for a staff appointment for a fire chief. So naturally, in looking to John and having many conversations with him and ultimately getting to the point of making that recommendation that you all just approved, we could look at our public safety department and say, what's the best path forward? Obviously, Alfred has grown significantly since we put that model in place. A very successful model, I believe, in certain size organizations. But then there's, you get to a certain size when it's very difficult, I think, long-term to force two very respected disciplines together into a model where they kind of lose some of their own identity. And looking at that and looking at some efficiencies that could be gained, talking to the people that are part of our staff in the field, and really looking at what's the most efficient way to deploy services going forward. Rather than replace a public safety director, I think it's appropriate actually to eliminate that public safety director and just do two reclassifications, one within the fire department, one within the police department, to create these positions. So we end up with a to the positive on an efficiency basis, and we found had just two stellar people in our organization. So just a little bit about Brad. He's been with us as a volunteer since 1999, full-time since 2001. So he's been with us for 24 years. I don't know that there's anything in the fire service he hasn't seen. He spent time in general fire service, hazmat, special events, was a member of the North Fulton SWAT team for a while, holds a master's degree in public safety administration, and was naturally serving in one of two roles that was kind of leading the fire department on a day-to-day basis. And I think he's what the department needs at this point, and he'll do a fine job. But you all know Brad. We've talked about him in detail. But I would seek your approval and appointment of Brad Deckinger as our fire chief. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Lagerblum on this item? Thank you, sir. Ms. Shapiro, any public comment cards?
We do not have any, Mr. Mayor.
However, once again, if you'd like to come forward and speak on this item, now is your chance. Seeing no one come forward, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from City Council?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to move to approve the appointment of our new fire chief, Brad Deckinger, to the city, for the city of Alpharetta.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Councilman Dorito and a second by Councilman Mitchell to approve the staff appointment of Fire Chief Brad Deckinger. Any discussion?
Yes, Mayor.
Councilman Dorito?
I'm honored to make the motion to appoint our new chief, Brad, as our new fire chief. I served as a firefighter up in New Jersey for about 8 years before moving to Alpharetta almost 31 years ago. We raised our children here, and so the fire department has been pretty near and dear to my heart. I went through fire training and was a certified firefighter up in New Jersey. And so coming here and seeing the fire department operations here in Alpharetta, I could say to all our citizens, it's not only well-equipped, well-trained. I think this mayor and council and others before me have done a great job in supporting the growth of the fire department and giving them proper equipment. They have state-of-the-art equipment. They have great training. And more importantly, all of these gentlemen sit in the back and the people, the rank and file behind them that are here, not here this evening, do a tremendous job for our city. And I know Brad very closely, watching him over the years, and he's going to make a fine chief. This change that Chris Lagerblum has made to reorganize the public safety model here in Alpharetta is only going to continue to uphold the fine standards that we as this city council and ones before us have attempted to support within the confines of the taxpayer dollars that we could provide. But Brad, congratulations, and I look forward to working with you.
If there's no other comments, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. Congratulations, sir. Mr. Lagerblum, I believe we have one other item.
We do one more, and then maybe my voice will come back for the rest of the evening. It's amazing to be able to sit here and just talk about person after person after person in the context of just how much they've done and what they bring to a team. That's a significant testament to the team that Alpharetta has built over the years, for the people that have come long before me that have made the platform to allow us to just continue to grow in such a great way. I would like to seek your appointment tonight as a police chief, Trent Lindgren. I want to talk to you a little bit about Trent. Trent's been with us for a good long while. He started his career as a result of 9/11 back in 2001. He's been in law enforcement for 23 years. We were lucky enough to nab him from the city of Atlanta, and he's worked his way through his career here, spent time in all of our different units and in the patrol division. The list just goes on and on. He's got a degree in communications from Kennesaw State, a master's degree in public administration from Columbus State. He's a graduate of just about every police professional school I could sit here and list for you tonight. And in fact, I want to let you know that when they teach the chief executive school at the Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police, as a police major, Trent is invited to come teach new chiefs in the state. So it's just fitting that he's found his way to be recommended in this role. I've often joked with him, and I've said it probably the whole couple of 3 years now that I've been back, where I said, I've got to figure out how to make you a chief at some point, or somebody's going to. He's the glue that holds the department together from an operations perspective. He's been doing that day in and day out. If you need a project done, Trent's the guy, and I think he'll provide steady leadership in law enforcement, tough on crime, understands what our Alpharetta expectations are with respect to the safety that we've created. And he will, and has no doubt, made a great police supervisor to this point, and will do a fabulous job leading our department into the future. So I seek your approval of appointment of Trent as our police chief.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any questions for Mr. Lagerblum? Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards on this item?
We do not, Mr. Mayor.
However, once again, you have the opportunity to come forward and speak on this item. If there's anything you'd like to say, now's your opportunity. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council on this item?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that council approve staff appointment of Trent Lindgren as police chief of Alpharetta.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Hypes, second by Councilman Brady. Any discussion? Councilman Hypes.
Thank you, Mayor. I think many of us sitting up here recognize what a significant evening this is. The Alpharetta public safety model as a way of policing and keeping Alpharetta safe on the fire side was formed July 1, 2006, and it had served us very, very well. You can look at the statistics and see that we're one of the safest cities in the state and the country. The reason that we are such a desirable place to live is how safe we are, and that public safety model, especially under John Robinson's leadership, has served us extremely well. But moving to this new structure that we have, and it is a new structure, I believe, as do many sitting up here, that it's going to make us an even safer city, a more efficient city. And when I look around this room and see all the firefighters standing along the back of the wall in support of Chief Deckinger, and I see Trent, who I see frequently around town. This is an exciting day for Alpharetta. There have been 3 appointments made here tonight, one in the city administration, and one in the fire, and one in the police department. And as of tonight, we are a better and stronger and safer city as a result.
Any other discussion? Well, I won't reiterate what's already been said, but I do want you, the public in general, and those of you that haven't really paid attention to this process, this has been a very extensive, long thought and considered change. And, most cities have a fire model and a police model. And a couple of decades ago, we had a police chief that thought there were efficiencies to be gained, and that model served us very well for a long time. But this is very intentional, and so I wanted people to understand why we were going through these changes right now. First of all, we have been trying, our leadership, our city council, Mr. Lagerbloom, since he joined us a few years ago, and myself, have been very intentional about trying to improve this organization, because Alpharetta has been very successful for many years, as you know from what we just talked about in the 1980s and stuff like that. But as the city grew and evolved, we do a lot more now than we ever had to do. And so we needed to really look at our organization, all 450 employees, and see how can we best serve the community. And for example, police and fire, both organizations of amazing men and women willing to put their lives on the line for every human being in the city of Alpharetta. Those are special gifts, but they're also very different cultures. And so I think most of us understood, and we've heard that from the leadership in police and fire, that probably having their own leader in that organization is probably for the best of both, to improve both. I will say that one of the reasons this was made possible for us to do without having to lose somebody that's incredibly talented is because Director Robinson, while he has been a tremendous police chief, also has aspirations of doing more than just one department. He's an incredible leader. He teaches leadership for police officers around the state. He won this, what was the award? This Police Chief of the Year at the state convention this year. He's incredibly talented, but leadership development is his passion. That's why we have such great leaders like Trent and Deckinger now, because he really pours into people and improves organizational morale and efficiency. And so all of this, I'll wrap it up, all of this, though, was intentionally brought forward because we see a better way to make this organization stronger and more efficient for the people of this community and for the people who serve the people in this community. So that's kind of why we're going through this process. We see this as an opportunity to do even more and even better than we've been doing, and that's our goal. That being said, all those in favor of the motion to approve, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. Thank you all. So next item up is PH-25-07, Unified Development Code Text Amendments for Parking. This is the second reading. First reading and public hearing for this item occurred during the July 28th, 2025 City Council meeting.
Mr. Mayor, may I go ahead and read?
Pardon?
May I go ahead and read?
Please do.
An ordinance by the Mayor and Council of the City of Alpharetta, Georgia, to amend Article 2 and Appendix A, Alpharetta Downtown Code of the Unified Development Code of the City of Alpharetta, Georgia, to amend parking requirements in the downtown, to amend the elementary and middle school parking ratio, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and for other purposes.
Director Cook?
This is the second reading, and there have not been any changes since the first reading. But of course, I can answer any questions you may have.
Do we have any questions for Director Cook on this item? Well done. Thank you very much. Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards?
We do not, Mr. Mayor.
However, if anyone would like to come speak about these changes, now's your chance. Seeing no one come forward, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council on this item?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, you do. I'd like a motion this evening to approve PH-25-07 under the Unified Development Code text amendment marked parking as presented tonight.
Have a motion. Councilman Brady is the second. Mayor Pro Tem made the motion. Any discussion, gentlemen? All those in favor of the motion to approve, please vote yes, otherwise vote accordingly. And it does pass unanimously. So we will move right along to the PH-25-03 Unified Development Code text amendments for zoning districts and permitted use districts and regulations. This is second reading, and the first reading and public hearing of this item occurred July 28th, 2025, City Council meeting. Is there a reading to be done?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. An ordinance by the Mayor and Council of the City of Alpharetta, Georgia, to amend Article 2 of the Unified Development Code of the City of Alpharetta, Georgia, to amend certain zoning district titles and descriptions, to amend certain zoning districts to clarify that they are in accordance with the master plan, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and for other purposes.
Thank you very much. Ms. Cook, I believe you have the floor again.
Mayor and Council, there have not been any changes on this for the second reading also, but of course I can answer any questions that you may have.
Do we have any questions for Director Cook?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Shapiro?
We do not have any public comment cards.
However, you once again have an opportunity to come forward and speak if you'd like to speak about this item. Seeing no one, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council on this item?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I would offer a motion this evening to approve PH-25-03 Unified Development Code text amendments, zoning districts, and permitted use districts and regulations.
Second?
Have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel and a second by Councilman Dorito. Any discussion, gentlemen? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. So next item up is the purchase approval for the Public Works Fleet Replacement Bucket Truck. Director Sasevich, I believe you have this.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. For you tonight is the replacement of a 2012 F-550 bucket truck that is no longer operable in the department. It recently failed its last commercial inspection. So as part of the FY26 budget, Council was blessed the Public Works with the replacement of this vehicle. So we're using the Sourcewell contract.
Do we have any questions for Director Sasevich? Councilman Dorito?
Pete, just, I think this is one of the things you and I discussed as far as why it's a 2024. Can you explain that? Because it's available, right, versus waiting 2 years to get it replaced, but
they are available.
Put that on the record.
The bucket trucks have to be built independently, so you have the chassis being built, and then you have the bucket component that comes in through a separate vendor itself. So this is available on a lot to meet our expectations. It's got a couple outfitting to do, which is why it's going to be a November delivery date, October-November delivery date. So but we were happy with the vehicle.
Excellent. Any other questions? Well, that was the only question I was going to bring forward is I know fire trucks can take 4 to 5 years, so I wasn't sure if this was available. So thank you for taking care of this and bringing it forward. Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards?
We do not, Mr. Mayor.
However, if you'd like to speak about the bucket truck, now's your chance. Seeing no one come forward, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, Mayor. Move to approve the purchase of a 2024 Ram 5500 equipped with an all-tech model AT40-G telescopic articulating aerial device with iOS boom utilizing Sourcewell contract number 110421-ALT from Alltech Inc. in the amount not to exceed $162,510. I'm not even sure what I just said, but move to approve it.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Councilman Dorito and a second by Councilman Mitchell. Any discussion? All those in favor, please vote yes. And it passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
You're quite welcome, sir. Thank you. Next item is Philanthropy Partnership Agreement for the Old Rucker Farm and the South Forsyth National Charity League. Director Rogers, I believe you have this item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Council. We're asking for the consideration to approve the Philanthropy Partnership Agreement between the City of Alpharetta and the National Charity League South Forsyth Chapter. The South Forsyth Chapter, the National Charity League, is a group of women and children that come together for community development, a commitment to the community, and to learn. This particular approval will allow that group to come to the farm located at Old Rucker Park and do volunteer work. And that is all this is asking for, is to allow them to come and do volunteer work so that they can learn about farming, the food, where the food comes from, and those kind of things. So be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions for Director Rogers? Did a great job. Nobody has any questions.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Shapiro?
We have no public comment card to this item, sir.
However, if anyone would like to come forward and speak on this agreement, now's your chance. Seeing none come forward, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir. I make a motion that council approve the Philanthropy Partnership Agreement between the City of Alpharetta and National Charity League South Forsyth Chapter and authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Hypes and a second by Councilman Brady. Any discussion, gentlemen? All those in favor of approving the Philanthropy Partnership Agreement, please vote yes. And it passes unanimously. So we'll move right along to the intergovernmental agreement, November 4th, 2025 general election and December 2nd, 2025 runoff election. Mr. Lagerblum, who's going to be taking over this item?
Thank you, Mayor. For this item, this is for an intergovernmental agreement between the city and Fulton County for them to host our election for this upcoming November 4th general municipal election, as well as any potential runoffs. The agreement just dictates what each organization's responsibility would be, and also projects our cost for a runoff election. So we are just asking for the council to approve the mayor to sign this agreement. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Do we have any questions for Ms. Shapiro? Councilman Hypes has a question.
Ms. Shapiro, the agreement states that it's subject to recalculation, that we're paying a pre-estimate. Do we have a high and low on what the recalculation could be based off actual voter data?
We do not yet. We have an estimate as to what our overall total is at this moment. I think it really all depends on how many jurisdictions will need a runoff, and it's based on our, like you said, our registered voter count. and population.
I mean, is our exposure, so to speak, like more than 200,000 as opposed to the 136, or is it 400,000? I mean, do we have an idea within the realm of reasonableness about what we're getting ready to approve?
I don't have an estimate in terms of a range. What they've quoted so far was $136,572.46 of what the runoff would cost. At this point, it could fluctuate if there were a need for additional security or poll workers or anything of that sort, or to remove or add polling locations.
Maybe a better way to address it is how accurate have they been in the past? Have they been reasonably accurate in these pre-estimates that we've paid in, or have they been?
It's been interesting over the past couple of years. One year we did receive an initial estimate, I think it was during the 2023 election, that was incredibly high, and they actually ended up reducing that number when some jurisdictions were considering hosting their own election. So could be less. I hope it would not be more. And this number is aligned with what we have budgeted in this year's fiscal budget as well.
Yeah, I'm more worried about the high side than getting a rebate, so
You and
a
I
refund. So okay, well,
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Councilman Narita?
Ms. Shapiro, just for clarification, at 136,572.46, that's for both the general municipal election and the potential runoff, that the total for both?
So this year, because there will be additional questions higher than the municipal level, on the Fulton County ballot, there was no charge to the city for the general municipal election, the one to occur in November. Our costs are only for the potential runoff.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions, gentlemen? Ms. Shapiro, thank you very much for pulling all that together for us.
You're very welcome, and there are no public comment cards for this item.
However, if anyone would like to come forward and speak about this, now's your chance. And I see no one coming forward, so I'll go ahead and close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the intergovernmental agreement November 4th, 2025 general election and December 2nd, 2025 runoff election in an amount not to exceed $136,572.46.
Have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Mitchell and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel. Any discussion?
This is one I'd like to see happen, and I'm looking forward to it. And so I hope we'll all vote for it. So, thank you.
All those in favor of the motion to approve the IGA for the general election, please vote yes. Otherwise, vote no. And it passes unanimously. So the next item is the resolution for the appointment of conflict counsel. Consideration of adoption of resolution to appoint the law firm of Carruthers Mitchell as conflict counsel to initiate condemnation actions against the City of Alpharetta employees. And I'll let Ms. Eswine take that further in detail.
Thank you, Mayor. For the reading, resolution of the Mayor and Council of the City of Alpharetta, Georgia, to retain conflict counsel. As you mentioned, this is to appoint Carruthers and Mitchell to represent the city for filing condemnation actions in the event a city employee or official or otherwise agent or board member were to have property that the city needed to acquire via condemnation as one of its transportation projects. As you know, we have a number of those, and while some may be amicable, if it ever came to that point, we would prefer to have conflict counsel appointed, and so this is a housekeeping measure that we've done in other jurisdictions as well, so that we have that ready to go. And I would ask for your approval of this. And Carruthers and Mitchell has agreed for payment at the same hourly rate that our law firm is at. So you're not getting charged a premium, but they are a local government firm. They're experienced in litigation and handling these kinds of matters, and we recommend approval.
Thank you for explaining that. Does anyone on council have any questions? Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards?
We do not, Mr. Mayor.
But if you'd like to come forward and speak, now's your chance. I see no one come forward, so we'll close public comment. Do Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I offer a motion tonight to approve the resolution appointment of conflict counsel of Carruthers and Mitchell as presented this evening.
Second.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel and a second by Councilman Dorito. Any discussion? All those, well, we've already taken care of public comment, right? Just make sure I hadn't skipped anything. All those in favor of the motion to approve, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. So we'll move on to our last new business item, and that is the resolution for appointment of conflict counsel for Talent Howell Law Firm. I'll just let you take that whole item.
Okay. Resolution by the Mayor and Council of the City of Alpharetta, Georgia, appointing and retaining conflict counsel. So I'll kick us off, and then Lauren can jump in if she needs to. So this would appoint Talent and Howell to represent staff in presenting alcoholic beverage licenses for potential penalties under our ordinance. That process is permitted under the ordinance for violations, for either imposing sanctions in the form of a suspension or revocation. And in those hearings, it goes to a hearing officer, which you've already appointed for this year, but those decisions are appealable to the city council. And so should there be an instance where a determination is made by the hearing officer that is appealed, I would still be able to serve as counsel to the appellate body, which is the city council, but city staff wanted to have representation in making any case that may be brought, and that is the reason for this, so that I wouldn't be both advocating for staff and then representing you if there is an appeal. So if Lauren had anything more to add, I'll turn it over to her, but this would authorize the mayor to execute the engagement letter with Talent and Howell for that purpose.
So does anyone have a question about that item? You did a great job of explaining that. Thank you very much. Ms. Shapiro, do we have an item?
We do not have any public comment cards.
But if you'd like to come forward, now is your chance. Seeing no one come forward, we'll move right along. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir. I'd like to make a motion that council adopt the resolution to appoint Talent Howell Law Firm as conflict counsel in alcoholic beverage license hearings and appeals where Gerard and Davis representation of the city is conflicted, and to authorize the mayor to execute all necessary documents.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Heitz and a second by Councilman Brady to approve the resolution. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve the appointment of conflict counsel, Talent Howell Firm, please vote yes. And it passes unanimously as well, so we'll wrap up the new business portion of the agenda this evening. Move on to work session items. And just before we get started, I'll just explain for those of you that may not be familiar. Work session items are not something we'll be voting on this evening. There is no business item or anything like that. It's simply when we can't meet in private to discuss these things as a body. So when we want to have a discussion just to inform and ask questions about an item or a subject, that's what we're talking about tonight. So we will have a work session, but there will be no vote. Turn this over. Work session item first on our agenda is the City of Alpharetta Arts and Culture Master Plan. I apologize, but I don't have your name on my agenda, but please, you have
Let's let Morgan make the introduction, and then we'll move to
okay. That way I'll know her name when she comes forward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening again. This is an exciting night for us. You know, just by being in Alpharetta, the arts has just exploded in Alpharetta and exploded in a great way. We are doing a lot of great things in art, in the cultural side of the house, the historic side, the art side. But a couple of years ago, Mayor and Council approved money for a cultural arts master plan. We went to work on that. We did an RFP. We got multiple submissions. We did a very competitive review, and we hired Tunnell, Spangler, and Associates, known to us as TSW, to lead. And tonight is the culmination of that project. We're excited about the plan, and we have with us tonight Susanna Darrow from TSW that's going to present the plan to Mayor and Council. Of course, staff is here to answer any questions that you may have following the presentation.
Thank you, sir. And I also appreciate you telling me what TSW stands for, because we've done a lot of business with them over the years, and I never knew what that was standing for. Please, you have the floor, ma'am. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you all so much. And I believe you have our presentation as well available in your attachments. I can go through. Perfect. And are you able to see those? Let's see if I have a clicker. Well, if I click it, will it go through? Okay. Sure. Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you. It's an arts plan, so it's prettier if you can see the pictures that go with it. Thanks. Yeah, absolutely.
While we're pulling it up, do you want to just go ahead and start? Council will have it on your computers in just a second.
Perfect. Yes, I'll go ahead and get started. As was just mentioned, thank you. This plan that we have created is really a high-level direction-setting plan. This is intended to provide a lot of ideas around partnership opportunities, areas that we see are primed to be able to further activate the arts and culture for the city of Alpharetta, but really should be taken as starting points and are really building on the strong foundation that already exists in the city of Alpharetta. Some of the key purposes that we had in establishing this plan are really around helping to establish what a strategic vision for arts and culture for the city of Alpharetta can look like, creating a tactical plan that begins to identify both timelines, who within the existing city staff and infrastructure is already able to begin implementing some of these ideas versus areas that might require additional funding. Helping to develop some operational standards to be able to execute those activities, acknowledging and engaging in the role that arts and culture can play in economic growth for the city, and identifying sustainable and reliable revenue for these activities that we're recommending. Perfect. And I believe there may also be more of a PowerPoint presentation that goes with it. It's a little, this is the 80-page plan is great and has a lot of information. We're going to do it in a 13-slide presentation for you, though, tonight. So it's a long plan. So we're just going to talk through the high-level version, but happy to answer questions that are within that denser plan for you as well. And then most importantly, the real goal for this plan is leveraging the special elements of Alpharetta to cultivate a unique destination for arts and culture within the region that will also help to drive that economic growth. So as we go forward, really what we want to look at is focusing on how to enhance what the city is already doing and really thinking about what those opportunities are. So throughout the process, we did work with a number of your constituents. We spoke with over 100 residents and business owners and arts and culture organizations that are already active within the city to really develop a keen understanding of what are the needs, what are the opportunities, and what are the things that we would like to see focused on throughout this process. As we went through, some of the key areas that came up in that were there were gaps within facilities access that exist within the city currently. There was a very strong desire for equitable access to the arts. So while there are some really excellent places that are identified and already activated for arts and culture, there are also opportunities throughout the city to further build a presence for the arts. Additionally, stronger engagement between the business community and the arts, continuing to play into the cultural diversity that's present within the city, and then also having a strong vision and coordinated efforts to execute that vision were what we heard from your constituents. So as we go through, we have organized this plan in a way to help really look at how to expand the arts in an intentional manner based on this already strong base. We know that there's already a strong presence of arts organizations and partners. There are strong venues that are already present and active within the city, as well as music programs, and most importantly, a strong parks and recreation department with strong leadership that this can really be housed within. So part of this is going to be understanding how to integrate the arts into daily lives, discovering what the opportunities are to introduce learning new skills, experiencing new cultures, and understanding topics in new ways through the arts. Connecting residents, business owners, and visitors to engage with each other through the arts, and then also enriching public spaces as a key area. Some of the areas that our team was particularly excited about as we were undertaking this process is that there's so many great places already available to really capitalize on. So really thinking about those primary areas that we look at more in depth within the plan. The downtown area that already has an active art center is a great place to continue to capitalize on. Eastern Alpharetta, particularly around the North Point area, has a lot of opportunity to really fill some gaps related to a need for arts and culture, and that was also something we heard in community response. All of the perks throughout the city as well.
Can I interject real quick? Because
Yes,
this
please.
presentation on the screen is not matching anything that she's saying. I want to make sure just let me finish.
Yeah, sure.
If there was a PowerPoint presentation, we didn't get it prior to tonight's meeting. So this is a report that's being broadcast, but this isn't following what's being presented at all. So I want to make sure that this is of value to your time, or if you want us to push pause on this, find a way to get the presentation so that you can see this in bullet point format so that hopefully it's more digestible than 78 pages. We can pause this item for now, move to the next. If we can get back to this item tonight, we will. And if we can't, we'll bring it at the next meeting, if that would be something you'd consider. To me, I'm not able to follow the presentation with what's on the screen, so I'm only suggesting I'm having a difficulty with it.
Just Councilwoman Eaning?
I've gone through it in detail, but I mean, if somebody hasn't, certainly the public would have difficulty following along. That's important because I want the public to follow along.
I tend to defer to Mr. Lagerbloom's recommendations, specifically for the public.
Let's do this. Let's push pause on this. Let's work in this background real quick to see if we can get the document scanner here up and running. And if we have paper copies of it, we can go back to this item after we've done the next two work session items. And then we can just do it the Kathy Cook way on this contraption up here, up front. So if we could move maybe to the Adult Activity Center membership fees. Morgan can work on that while Lauren gets this document machine up and running. Thank you.
Morgan, you ready for the Adult Activity Center membership fee discussion?
Microphone, Morgan.
Adult activities that are ran out of the Adult Activity Center, which include the programs there and also some of the adult programs that we run at the Preston Ridge Community Center. Currently, there is one charge for everybody that comes and does that. The programs are either free or there is a small charge for them. That includes residents, non-residents alike. And what we're bringing forward tonight is the idea that we should have a non-resident fee for those folks that do not live in the city of Alpharetta that are coming and taking advantage of these programs at the expense of the Alpharetta taxpayers. So we're suggesting that there be a $40 a year fee for any non-resident who wants to take part in the year-long activities, the free activities or the activities with a fee at the Adult Activity Center.
Morgan, I know you had mentioned some numbers to me a few weeks ago when you brought this to my attention. Could you kind of give us some? I had no idea that there were so many people from Forsyth County that were taking.
So currently there is about somewhere around 60% of our the folks taking advantage of these programs are from outside the city of Alpharetta. About half of those are coming from Forsyth County, and the other half are coming from either Milton, Roswell, or Johns Creek, or something like that. So the numbers, there's a reason that we're talking about this tonight is because that right now the lion's share of the cost is being borne by the city of Alpharetta. So we're suggesting a $40 per year. It would be $40 for any rolling 12 months. So if you joined in April, it would be good to the next April. For any programs that we offer. The programs would still be free for our Alpharetta residents, but you have to do the $40 charge for the non-residents.
Do we have any questions? Councilman Mitchell?
Thank you, Director Morgan. Does that mean an additional $40, like if they were to take a stained glass class, and that incurs fees per class?
No, the fee would be an annual fee. So they would pay the $40 if they're non-residents, and then they would be allowed to take whatever classes we have, and they'd still have to pay that fee just like a resident would have.
Right. So the classes would have a fee, and then on top of that, there's a non-resident.
But there's a good number of programs there that we offer for free. A lot of our, some of our card tournaments, bridge classes, a good number of fitness programs up there. There are some lunches that we offer that are free for for those participants.
So do you feel like $40 would cover the city's cost?
We feel like it would. We feel like it's a step in the right direction, and we can, analyze this after a 12-month cycle and see how many we actually have and what kind of impact they're having on the fees, and we bring that back to whether it needs to go down or go up or stay the same for the coming years.
Okay. I take it that there's a deficit of activities within Forsyth County for seniors. Would that be a logical assumption?
I think that would explain would be the most logical explanation for the high non-residents coming from there.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilman Dorito?
Director, I'm a little hesitant on this because I'm just going to kind of maybe get a response from you why this has become something we want to try to do. You're projecting revenue on this $40 collection fee for fiscal year 26 about $8,000 to $10,000. I understand that 65% of the participants are currently non-residents. Do we use any transportation service for these folks?
No,
Okay.
we're not to and from the center. Now, we do some trips that there are fees with that, but we don't do any transportation to or from the center.
Here's where I have difficulty charging a fee to senior citizens. And it's, forget about the city borders and that sort of thing. A lot of these seniors, I was raised by senior citizens in a divorced family, and I will tell you that I would go to the local facility like here in Alpharetta where they get to spend time with people, interact, keep their brains functional and all that good stuff. But they become like units of friendships and almost family. And a lot of these seniors, I don't know for a fact, may not be able to afford $40 a year amount. I mean, they're on fixed incomes, a lot of them. I would personally, for the amount of money we're talking about, be a welcoming city to these seniors who interact with our seniors, which, hopefully brightens our seniors' days, the residents in Alpharetta. If this was like a significant amount of money, I would probably understand it, but it's not a lot of money in the scheme of things to be a welcoming city. I know with other like athletic agreements we have with bordering cities, everyone pays the resident fee, so we've given a discount to non-residents in that regard. So why wouldn't we apply the same theory here if our residents are not paying for this service, but we're having people from surrounding cities participate in these programs? Just to have kind of an equal level playing field, how we charge other cities for other programs. So I guess convince me why we should do this is where I'm coming from.
So I think there were two questions in there, so I think I'm going to answer the second one first. When it comes to our athletic programs, and that's the only thing that we have with any neighboring cities, and one of them's with Milton and one's with John Creek, there are reciprocal programs within those two agreements that allow our residents to go to their city and do certain things, and their residents to come to our city and do certain things at the resident fee. That's on both our Milton and as well as Johns Creek. Currently, our citizens in Alpharetta don't have that ability to go, say, to Roswell or Smyrna or down to the Emma Darnell Center at Fulton County and do that for free because they charge a fee on top of their program fees. So I think we're just being consistent with what other places are doing. And then to go back to the one about the fixed income, we do have a program where if somebody literally can't afford to pay fees based on the federal government's poverty level, then we can either waive that fee or we can give there's a fancy word for it. It's like a sliding scale. So based on their income, if they truly can't afford it, then we have a program that they can use, and we have that in all of our programs, athletics, our classes, and all like that. So this would apply to them as well.
Thank you, Director. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards?
We do not, Mr. Mayor.
However, if you'd like to come forward and speak, now's your chance. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council? Oh, that's right. Sorry, got carried away. Yeah. So the next item up is the stormwater projects update. Are we ready for the cultural arts?
You can wait to the end if you'd like. I was just kind of plugging in and getting ready this time.
I just want to keep it moving, so if...
Let's let them go first, and then we'll present after.
Okay. That'd be great. Why don't we go ahead with the stormwater projects, Pete?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Public Works Department has been working on substantial projects over the last 5 years, and in your package, you'll see that over the last 5 years, we've lined over 36,000 linear feet of pipe. We've flushed out over 19,000 linear feet of pipe, which basically means we've cleaned out the debris that's in the pipe so that it won't deteriorate. A lot of our pipe is corrugated metal pipe, so if we have leaves and debris and soil in there, it rusts out the bottom of the pipe. Placed over 6,400 linear feet of curb and gutter alongside with our catch basins. And then 53 structures have been replaced, over $180,000 there. All that equates to over $9 million, over $9.5 million. That's, in addition, we've worked on several larger scale projects throughout the city. Atlanta Ridge Court, Harris Road, Windward Parkway. We've got a couple other projects in the queue that are one that's just finishing up, which is North Park Pond dredging, which is almost $500,000. All that is another almost $3 million. Say all that, we've had some, those are our wins, those are our victories, if you want to think of it that way. We've had some challenges along the way. The Meadowbrook subdivision was a key subdivision area that we were looking at doing multiple improvements in. We started a design project, we worked through it, we started getting to the right-of-way acquisition, which was basically set up from the get-go to be donated. A lot of the pipes are on private property. A lot of the pipes that need to be taken care of are on private property. That means it's the responsibility of the private property owner. If we were going to do the underground detention to help solve the Meadowbrook drainage flooding that was going across people's properties, because back from the high school, the water traverses over 4 sets of properties before it gets into Folk Killer Creek. So we're going to catch this runoff, put it through pipes, put an underground stormwater system, basically a detention pond, large vaults underneath the street. But all the right-of-way had to be donated, all the easements had to be donated in order for us to fund that within reason. We've gone from basically a $2 to $3 million project to almost a $6 million project for just one phase. So we had public meetings, all that took place, didn't work out. Property owners did not want to donate the easements. We moved on to our log cabin site, we call it. And we were hoping that we could build some detention there. Due to the existing groundwater table from the creek right there, as well as an existing 20-foot sanitary sewer easement from Fulton County, we weren't able to get large amount of volume of water to be stored. So we weren't really helping out downstream. Our consultants came back to us, said, we have an idea. If we look downstream, there's a culvert that we believe that is slightly undersized, as well as Full Killer Creek in that area is not, the banks were never regraded like they should have been back in the early 80s when the property was originally permitted. Full Killer Creek in certain areas should have a 50-foot bank from top of bank to top of bank across the creek. In some areas, it's only like 10 or 12 feet. So replacing that culvert would help out the flood elevation of several properties there. And when I say flood elevation, I'm talking about the FEMA base flood elevation, which you need FEMA flood insurance. We were able to lower that. We met with the property owners, and I should state that in order for this culvert to be placed, we're taking down several large specimen trees and all the landscape that's been growing over there over the years. And we would line the new creek bed that we drain. So we dredge out and adjust the banks. Instead of being a 2-to-1 slope, 1-to-1 slope, we would go to 4-to-1 slope, which means we're taking out even more of the trees in the landscape. The property owners were not too fond of that, and I can understand why. And so we basically are on hold of that project. We've got identified 6 other projects we could move the project funds towards. Some of those consist of Claremont Avenue pipe replacements, North Winds Culvert, Willis Park stream restoration projects that we've looked at in the past too. So right now, Public Works' recommendation is to move forward with some other projects, knowing that it's just not there. The big bang is not there to solve the flooding challenges in the Meadowbrook area.
Councilman Hypes.
Director Pete, appreciate the update. I'm going to move away from Meadowbrook for a second.
Yeah.
There's a number on this page that kind of jumps off the page to me. And first I want to say, because I think it's important, I want to give the mayor tremendous credit for prioritizing stormwater maintenance. We've doubled, if not tripled sometimes in our budget, the amount that was spent. And if you go back in time, you can see that it was not being addressed, and appreciate what this guy's done. That being said, when I hear you tell us about lining the pipes to extend the life of the pipe, what I infer from that is that pipe's going to need to be replaced at some point in time. And what I see from here is over the last 5 years, we replaced 775 linear feet. So I just did some quick math. That's 0.146 of a mile. It's all the pipe that we've replaced in the city because we've been extending the life of the pipes. At what point do we start to foresee we're going to get into a bind where we can no longer reline the pipes but have to set aside for, somewhat pun intended, a rainy day to replace these pipes?
So we're looking at the pipelining that we're doing extends the pipe life expectancy to about almost 25 years.
Okay.
So.
But there'll be a council sitting up here 25 years from now.
Correct, yes. And a
God
lot of
willing.
those pipes go through, and the reason why we don't replace more pipes is it's more detrimental.
Okay.
So there is new technology coming out every day. We all know this. Could you line a pipe a second time? Yes. Because when we line a pipe, we're taking a corrugated metal pipe and it becomes a smooth line pipe. So yes, more water can come through it. So we're not losing capacity of the pipe itself. So where we're going to be challenged with in the future, 25, 30 down on the road, is these pipes go through people's backyards. They come from, we pick up the stormwater from the road, it traverses through the backyards where there's large trees in the area. We work diligently to not go to remove the trees. We work diligently not to replace the pipes. So to answer your question, I do not have the exact dollar amount or what we're dealing with here, but we can easily come forward with a top 10 list if you want to take that.
Well, where I'm going with this is, we need to budget, we need to prioritize. If we spend on this, we don't spend on that. We've got to figure out where the money's coming from. And if there is going to come a day that we're ahead of it and we're not reacting to it, but we've responded in advance. And if we're going to do that, to have an idea what that may cost and how we can fund it.
Yes.
And there have been various trial balloons thrown around about different ways to fund infrastructure item like this, But, I think the time will come very soon. In 25 years could be here in the blink of an eye. That we are ahead of this issue, because if we're only replacing 775 feet.
No, and what I can say is we inspect 20% of our stormwater infrastructure every year. So every 5 years, we have the whole entire city inspected. So we will easily start seeing the trend that comes forward. We start seeing things fatigue, and keep an eye on it and look at it for the next couple of years.
But and to that end, it's almost like the capital improvement plan. This is the stormwater plan.
Correct.
And then not just looking up one day and say, we've got a $20 million issue on our hands to replace 2 miles, so to speak.
Yes, and what I would like to say is, 20 years ago, the city made a very, made a great decision, and they got rid of corrugated metal pipe in the city's right of way. So we're dealing with pipe in the older side of town. All our new developments is concrete pipe in our right of way. So that the longevity is that much longer. But you're right. I mean, we could easily give you a breakdown of the corrugated metal pipe and the pipe that we see challenges with, and start getting our plan together.
Well, this is a work session, and I'd like to see us carry on the mayor's legacy of keeping our eye on the ball on this matter. So.
Will do.
Councilman Mitchell.
Thank you, Pete. And I agree. I concur with all of that. And also, I think you've been a real advocate as well for stormwater improvements, and as well as the mayor, and appreciate all your work in those areas. Back to Meadowbrook, I've received some emails and talked with some citizens who really don't see the benefit in digging up their backyard and the trees they've had forever. And it's my understanding that there's only 2 neighbors that want it. Is that correct?
No, I would say there's 4 properties that are most affected by it.
Okay.
And the culvert traverses through all 4 properties. There's 2 properties that gain the most advantage from it. However, they also lose a lot of trees from it as well. So it's a give and take. So I wouldn't say it's only 2 people wanted the project. We were tasked to look at other solutions in that area, thinking that the log cabin site would have enough volume for us to put a large retention pond. It does not. Then we looked at, could we actually improve people's properties and reduce the elevation of the floodplain, which we were able to do, but it came at a cost. And losing large trees is part of that cost. And so speaking with the residents and the property owners, it's like, okay, we understand where you're going from, we see it. We have no problem taking these plans that we have, they're done, put them on the shelf, and something comes up in the future, then we're ready to go.
Okay. And am I to understand that's also your recommendation, given the resistance to that?
Yeah, we want to, yes.
You don't want to disturb their natural habitat.
I don't want to take a condition, and though it works engineering-wise, functionality for the people that live there and the aesthetics of people who live there, it could be a detriment.
Okay. And I also understand that with some of the stormwater improvements that we've required folks as they build newer homes in those areas, they put the underground detention in. That's improved certain areas over in that older section of town where the runoff is better managed. Is that correct?
I would say so. They're catching the runoff that's going from their houses into the underground drainage system instead of flowing through people's backyards.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilman Dorito?
I too want to compliment the mayor for his leadership on this. I mean, when I ran for council almost 4 years ago, this was on his agenda. And I actually spoke about it in the campaign as something that I would want to support if I was elected. Since then, I've worked with the mayor and you, Pete, on this what is not always the most, I guess, important topic to most people in the city, but it is important to maintain the infrastructure of the city. And what I do want to just say with people in the audience and maybe watching this meeting tonight. A lot of the difficulties we've had under the mayor's leadership to try to address these issues around the city, particularly in the Meadowbrook area. We're dealing with the anti-gratuity clause of the Georgia state constitution that doesn't allow us to make improvements to private property. And as you pointed out, some of these conduits and things go through private property. And so, but I do want to say, like, there's been a lot of investment made, as you point out in your report here, in the years since I've been back on council, that has really taken the bull by the horns to try to address the stormwater problems around the city of Alpharetta. And as Councilman Hypes pointed out and kind of alluded to, there's been some kind of balloons floated, I even think by the prior council and when I got on, about, you know, how do we fund these improvements going forward? Is there a better way? And I know we may get down that path to kind of discuss how that works, because, you know, you total about $12 million here in your report, right? And keep in mind that these monies that were appropriated by the city council takes away from other priorities of the city. So we as a council have to go through kind of what the priorities of the city are each fiscal year, and we allocate the funds properly. I know the first year I got back on council, I think we appropriated $4 million to stormwater management because we were seeing a growing problem that we needed to address. We've met with a lot of neighborhoods that are impacted by stormwater runoff and things, particularly in the oldest sections of Alpharetta, because if you remember when those houses were built, we didn't have the requirements that are put on new developments in the city today. So the pipes were old, the corrugated piping. A lot of these things have compounded over time, but I just want to point out that a lot's been done, to applaud you and Dennis, who works very closely with you, your stormwater engineer that's working with you in the Public Works Department. And so the mayor's done the right thing of leading on this and bringing the city forward as far as, you know, investing the monies in here so that it doesn't become a much bigger problem, much more costly problem to the taxpayers in the future. And we need to continue to talk about this because we still haven't solved all the problems. We only have so much money each year, right? So, but Pete, under your leadership, we're doing a great job in really taking the bull by the horns here and addressing some what was very serious problems 4 years ago.
Well, thank you. And you mentioned Dennis Rowland. I mean, him and his team has literally taken the bull by the horns. They have gone to a fix it, come up with the solutions, get creative solutions, think outside the box. We've done what's called doghouse manholes, where we've seen a low spot and there's no catch basin there, there's no inlet there, and he's discovered, okay, let's just cut the pipe right there, put a structure in there, grout it. It's a couple $1,000 fix that alleviates ponding in the right of way and extends the life expectancy of the road as well. So I mean, it's a win-win, and him and Josh Chance have been doing, Corey Chance, an incredible job for the department. So I'm very blessed.
So I had asked for this work session because Pete had brought this to my attention a few weeks ago, and what we've come to realize is that many of the people who were upset about the water through that area hated the solution more than they hated the issue that they had been so diligently voicing their opposition to the water and the flooding and things like that. And so we've spent a tremendous amount of money in plans and designs and efforts of how to fix some of that, maybe not get rid of it all, but to improve those areas. But many of the people, when it came down to taking down 4 big oak trees to fix this solution, they weren't really supportive. And so instead of just putting it on the shelf and not talking about it, I said, well, Pete, I want us to have a public conversation because, to Councilman Hypes' point, we've got the money, we were going to spend it, but the people who asked us to spend it don't want us to spend it on what we need to do it. And so I want to make sure before we move that money
to other areas that are in need. We know there are other culverts in other parts of the city. We know there's money that can be put to the, drainage along Canton Street is one of my priorities. But there's a lot of those priorities throughout the city, and I didn't want it to just sit there because we didn't have a discussion about, okay, well, it's no longer a high priority because they don't like the solutions. So we're not voting on it, but that's kind of why we're having this discussion. So nobody comes back in a year and says, well, why didn't y'all do this? It's like, well, they didn't want us to do it. Thank you, Pete.
Thank you, sir.
So I'm sorry for the interruption, but if you'd like to proceed, we'd love to hear from you.
And Mr. Mayor and council members, I apologize for the technological delay. The original presentation that was up is the full plan that you do have access to. This presentation that we'll go through right now, hopefully you can see on your screens as well, has just the high-level overview. For sake of time, I will go through a couple of the first slides quickly. Just to recap again, I think really emphasizing that the purpose of this plan is to understand where we can leverage what already exists in the city of Alpharetta, what are already strengths of the arts and culture community here, what are assets that your constituents and community and business leaders see already present here, and how we can continue to make recommendations to further enhance those so that City of Alpharetta can both be a destination for arts and culture and also improve quality of life for your existing residents. So through that, as I mentioned, we did engage with a number of residents, business owners, and existing arts and culture community members that are here in the city. From that, we identified these major themes of the facilities gaps, a desire for equitable access to the arts across the entire city, really engaging the business community with the arts community when there are easy opportunities to do so, emphasizing the cultural diversity that exists within the city of Alpharetta through arts and culture programming, and having a coordinated vision to lead those efforts. So within this, really thinking about how can the arts fit into a vibrant economy, into the existing sense of place that's here, and continue to bolster that, and continue to really emphasize the city of Alpharetta as a unique and highly coveted place for people to live and to come to. So through this, the core vision that we have articulated in this plan is really thinking about these four key aspects. So Spark, how can arts be integrated into the daily lives of your community? Discovery, where are there opportunities for the arts to open doors to things like workforce development, introducing younger audiences and residents to the arts, and how that can also help to understand ways to integrate that more thoroughly in the city. Connecting, particularly through businesses, residents, and visitors, giving opportunity for new types of connections, and then creating opportunities to enrich public spaces throughout the city. The key areas that we have also looked at that we identified as the main areas we see as the primary opportunities for this are public art initiatives, and that can take multiple forms throughout the city. In particular, I think really leaning into the existing assets that you have in a strong parks department and really using those park spaces throughout the city, but also just in simple infrastructure additions where the arts can be easily engaged. Additionally, performing arts, music for Alpharetta in particular is a major strength. So the plan looks at ways that can, pardon the pun, but be amped up a bit and really lean into that identity for City of Alpharetta. Additionally, there are a number of very strong and active theater and dance organizations already active within the city. So this study really looked at what are the opportunities to provide them with the resources, connection points, and additional visibility that they need to better engage both existing residents as well as to serve as a driver to bring more visitors to the city as well. And then finally, culture and heritage, really looking at those opportunities as well. In particularly, one of the current hallmarks of the city are the events that already exist. There's a very strong presence of that already, so continuing to lean into those, but also looking at where there's opportunity to expand the offerings that the city already has around tours, lectures and classes, and museum sites that exist here already. So some of the main priorities that we wanted to highlight tonight as part of this plan that we feel really both respond to the community input that we heard consistently, and also that feel like there are opportunities for both implementation incrementally as resources allow. So these priorities all we'll go through in just a moment, have opportunities for both some immediate short-term wins that are quite cost-effective, in addition to some longer-term strategic opportunities that can also be available. So the top priority that we have identified is continuing to boost economic development. In particular, we really want to see where the arts can continue to boost this. The plan has more in-depth information on this, but in particular, we know on average, based on data from Americans for the Arts and other surveys, on average, attendees to an arts program are going to spend at least $36 for that single outing. When you start to incorporate visitors as well, that almost doubles for the amount spent per person while they are visiting to go attend an arts and culture event. So that's just one small factoid that goes with it, but the plan does lay out additional opportunities around economic development outside of just audience spending. In particular, workforce talent attraction, continuing to increase property values throughout the city through using the arts as a tool for that, and then also where it becomes an opportunity to engage with public safety, as there are direct correlations to reducing crime in cities that are activating public art programs. Additionally, some priorities around fostering partnerships. Again, I mentioned just really leaning into the existing organizations and relationships that already exist and continuing to identify new opportunities for that. The plan does outline that more in depth, in particular looking at some potential key partnerships with Arts Alpharetta to administer some city-sponsored initiatives, as well as other opportunities to engage companies that are based here. Additionally, serving as a connector, really thinking about where the city can really amplify the opportunities that already exist. That in particular is a very cost-effective and very simple priority that we see having some immediate application quite easily. Additionally, reflecting the community, that's something where we certainly heard in the community feedback a desire to see the arts equally distributed throughout the city. While we did identify some key areas that have immediate opportunity for sort of hubs for arts and culture within the city, one of the major pieces of feedback that we received in the community input sessions was really around that equitable distribution of arts throughout the city. Additionally, integrating the arts into operation processes to make it both easy and efficient to be able to roll these initiatives out. Certainly wanting to minimize friction so that this becomes an easy thing to incorporate into existing planning initiatives and other work that's already happening within the city. Amplifying marketing is another key piece that will also just further support the existing artists and arts and culture organizations that are working within the city of Alpharetta already. And then also using the arts as a way for the citywide branding as well to continue to maintain and really amplify the city's character within the full Metro Atlanta region and more broadly and nationally. So for this, one of the things we were very mindful of is that nothing is free, and when it comes to new initiatives. So we have outlined that there are a number of avenues to provide sustainable and long-term support for these initiatives. These are funding sources that we have seen be successful in other municipalities at a similar scale to Alpharetta. So feel that there is some viability to test these and to pilot them in Alpharetta as well. This would be, we have proposed a mix of both private philanthropic sources as well as some opportunities around public funding that could be stood up. And then also thinking about potential for public-private partnerships and other revenue, other sources for that. Let me go into. So I mentioned, as we're thinking about this as well, implementation is also important to think through both what are short-term wins that can be stood up quite quickly and simply, what versus things that might be a longer-term strategic play. Some of those initial opportunities we really see around, as I mentioned, the marketing, just really creating some visibility for that public schedule for arts and culture convenings, continuing to bolster that partnership between Arts Alpharetta and the city, and further defining the city's identity. We do have further detail on this within the plan, so I'm just sharing at a high level right now, but happy to speak to any of these further. Additionally, as we look to 1 to 2 year plans, that's when it starts to get into slightly more in-depth initiatives and projects, such as looking for opportunities to integrate arts and culture into public works projects, or to continue to build on the existing success of the Arts Center, where we can identify opportunities that the cost is really limited to that existing staff time that can happen without necessarily additional hires or without any major fundraising needs required. Some of these you will see there may be additional costs that are needed, and happy to speak to some projections on those potential costs as helpful. And then in the medium to longer term, 3 to 5 years, that's when we start to see some opportunity around creating a little bit more dedicated infrastructure opportunities, as we see that some of these pilot initiatives maybe have a bit of a stronger foothold to them, and that they are proving to be successful for the city, that then can be an opportunity to look at increasing a potential staff position to further support those and to further enhance those initiatives over time. And continue to execute more in-depth partnership and sponsorship programs to support them. Longer term, one of the major pieces of feedback I mentioned at the beginning was that we had a lot of feedback regarding the gap in facilities available for performance in the city. And so that is something that we did hear that, and I think there is an appetite for further exploration of that. And then additionally, continuing to look at opportunities around the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. We've proposed a plan around potentially identifying Alpharetta as a music city. And so other opportunities like that would have longer term implications, but could potentially be interesting long-term initiatives to consider. And that is the 82-page report very quickly. So happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions? Councilman Heights?
Well, yeah, questions and direction, this being a work session. And for starters, I commend you for all the time and hours that were put into this. I know this is almost a 1.5 year long project, and I think it is an incredibly invaluable conversation for the city of Alpharetta as a whole. And I kind of view this as a starting point that hopefully does not end up in the top drawer someplace collecting dust, but actually is acted upon and improved upon. I see we've got a couple of our arts leaders here in the hall today, Ms. Nancy Murphy and our Alpharetta Symphony Executive Director, Kelly Mahalik, are in here. And you know, for me, I think a lot about about this, and I think it's an incredibly important public conversation that I would like to see everybody in Alpharetta jump in on. Because our history is, as we have evolved as a city, we've always addressed the next thing that we needed. When we were a small rural town, we addressed becoming a bedroom community with Windward and other places. And then we addressed retail shopping with North Point Mall. We addressed having a heart and soul of a downtown community. We do office great. We do residential great. We do parks great. We do hospitality, food and beverage great. It all started with schools. We do schools great, and that's where it all started. We do arts good, not for lack of trying, but because of the hurdles in front of arts for funding and facilities. Given what they have, they do great. but commensurate with this city, where we are, where we've evolved to, the sophistication of this city, the income and education of this city, we can always do better. It's the next thing in front of us as a city to take us to the next level and be great. And that's why I believe this plan is so important. And, you know, I would just keep focusing on funding and facilities. I read through this, one blocks the other, and then the other blocks the former. Without funding, we don't have the facilities that we need that are commensurate with this city. If we had the facilities, the funding would follow. And it's a little bit of a, you know, little bit of a knot to untangle there, and I recognize the public sector can only do so much until the public sector decides that there's more value in proceeding and paying to do something in this arena than to do without it. But I don't see enough in the plan about concrete ways to bring the private sector into this. We are so blessed with our corporate citizens. We have tremendous corporate citizens, and they have proven their mettle time and again with their charitable and philanthropy. But we've got to get people all on the same page for the arts community and an overarching umbrella arts foundation for this city to make things happen and not have a document that has consultant speak in it of vibrancy, richness, and leveraging. Those are great consultant words. But so often we get consultant documents and they don't translate or turn into you know, the tangible reality of what we're trying to get to. So we've got to get serious about funding, private-public funding, and we got to get serious about our facilities. God bless this council. Back in the day when it took the library and it was supposed to be a $2 million art center, it turned out to be a $4.5 million art center. I sat right out there in the cheap seats and I watched that debate. That was an interesting one. And it was a good art center for Alpharetta 2015. It is not sufficient for Alpharetta 2025, nor will it ever be sufficient for Alpharetta 2035. The other thing I will say about your plan, this is a work session. The very first bullet point is booster economic development. Our arts plan needs to be driven by the love of art and the understanding of art from which we retain businesses or attract businesses. But it should never be the motive to attain or retain or attract businesses. And it's a very big difference. So this needs to come from an appreciation of the arts, an aspiration for the arts for this city to take us to the next level. I mean, we can kill it all day long with food and beverage and great restaurants and great shopping, but there is an element of this city that's missing until we address this need. And the city starts talking about it and makes it a priority. So, you know, if you can find ways to get it into the public eye and do the funding and facilities part on something that's a little more concrete, then, you know, I would be even more pleased with all the hard work and effort that you put into this, because I think it's very, very, very important. And also, you know, sometimes you just got to thank somebody for what they've done. And this guy sitting to my left, Councilman Mitchell, has been an advocate for the arts sitting up here in his 13 years on council. And if I have anything to say about it, I'm going to try to take up the mantle once he rolls off council. But we need people to advocate for the arts in this city and then to act on it. And your document will be a start for that.
Any other comments? Councilman Mitchell?
You know, I can't pass this one up. And thank you, John. And I think you've done a tremendous job with our symphony and totally supporting that and getting behind it. I would agree with what he has spoken about as far as, you know, we're in a city where most of our city has been built by public-private ventures. And I think the way we're going to make the arts continue to be a success is to focus on fundraising. And I didn't read enough on that, about how to make that happen. we've traditionally not been a city that's awarded a lot of grants. And although we've gotten more in most recent years than we had before, I think we could leverage the corporate buy-in. And I think we have so many citizens who will buy and pay for a sculpture, or they'll pay for a mural, or they'll pay for a piece of art, or they'll pay for a night at the symphony, if they're only asked. And so I kind of wanted the Arts Alpharetta, the group to be more of a outreach as far as fundraising tool. And I would like to hear more in your documentation about how we can go about setting up a foundation that would work toward raising funds within the community and moving us further along in that venture. I think we have had a lot of success because this council and previous councils have supported the arts, and that's why we've gotten, that's why we have a rotating art exhibit, and that's why we have the Art Center, because you know, there's been a lot of civic involvement, but we need more private participation, and we need to know how to ask for what we need. And so how we go about that in a systematic approach, I think would be helpful. You know, like for the parks, if we ask for a bench, somebody will come up and donate the bench in somebody's honor or whatever, but they'll also donate art. So for a city of our scale and size, I think we've done tremendous. We've come a long way. And I say that collectively because there's so many people that have pushed for it. Isn't that right, Miss Nancy? So many people that have gotten behind it and pushed and been a part of making it happen. But how do we do it, and how do we fund it in a way that it's sustainable throughout the years? And so I would love to hear more about that in your report. Thank you.
Councilman Dorito.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Duro, and to you and your team. There's a lot of information here. I did go through the 82 pages before tonight's meeting, and it's kind of following up with what my colleagues had said. There's a lot of content in the detailed presentation or the report you presented. But I personally think it would be very helpful if we could put a little bit more of a roadmap in there. Like if you go back to that slide prior to this, I don't know if you can do that. Not that one. The one with the different sections. That one. Thank you. I know you have others, you know, tax allocation districts, tax revenue, tax credits. I like to know what that means. Like what does your team mean by that? I mean, what are they suggesting we consider doing to help fund the programs under this master plan? What is really good about this, though, is you are providing the foundation for, as Councilman Hypes talked about, a document or a master plan that causes this council and future councils to actually take action and start implementing changes within our different departments that will help incentivize growing artwork around the city, supporting the symphony, supporting all the other the cultural arts in the city. And I think public-private partnerships are definitely that, coupled with foundational grants, which I know Chris Lagerbroom has implemented a grants program, and we've already made a significant amount of grant monies off of it at a very low price to the taxpayer. These things we can introduce in our grant consultant that we have with the city to attract monies and investments. And we live in such a corporate area. I deal with companies every day, and they love to do things, philanthropic things, for the communities that their workers are working in. And so I think you have provided the foundation of a great master plan, and now maybe take it a step further and put some specific details around each of the various areas that's up on the screen here, and how we can effectively achieve some of the goals that you put in the master plan. So,
absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments about the presentation? I will just say thank you. It's a great roadmap. Now we just have to take up the mantle and try to apply some of it. Thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you all for your time.
So according to my agenda, we have finished all of our work session items. Now it's time for public comment. Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards?
I do not have any cards that have been turned in this evening.
However, if you've sat through all of this meeting and you'd like to say something, now's your opportunity. And I see no one up. Please come forward. You have 3 minutes. If you'll just state your name and your address for the public record, that'd be great.
I just was hoping that probably, I'm probably the main person they're talking about over there in Milton Glen, and I have a very desirable corner lot. My lot is located right on the corner of 2 of the main streets going into our subdivision. And it's highly desirable, not only by someone consuming a house in that area or wishing to consume a house, but also by the developers that have completely swarmed our neighborhood. And they are taking down the older brick ranches from the old days, which mine is one of those, and they are tearing them down. And first of all, they're buying them for a song. They're getting them at what I'd call discount prices from heirs that live in other states whose relatives owned them and then were deceased, and they're contacting them in other states and buying them for much less than what they're worth. And I think that my corner lot is so desirable that it's possible that there's at least in my head, there's an idea in my head that they are trying to devalue it so that they can come in and buy my property for a discounted price. And one reason that I think that's possible is one of them actually said to me, you know, you should go along with that plan that they're wanting to do in your backyard because your property will be worth a lot more. And I was just stunned because I thought, how could somebody say your property is going to be a lot more when practically a complete industrial complex sounds like it's going to be installed in half of my backyard. And taking down several of the trees that I have personally planted. I've been there for almost 26 years. I'm even wanting to have my old brick ranch house considered as on the National Register. And I have contacted the people at the National Register about submitting, because my house has had very few changes since 1968 when it was built. It still has the iron lace looking on the outside, the decoration on the outside, and it's also got the same flooring, the same windows, the same doors, everything the same as in 1968. And I've been very careful not to get any newfangled things on that house because I want it to go to my heirs after I'm deceased and to be on the National Register of Historic Places. I do not want my property devalued by having some kind of, having half of my backyard taken by permanent easement or eminent domain or anything like that. And then I have less property and I have devalued property and I have what amounts to me as sort of an industrial complex in my backyard. Hydraulic pumps and reservoirs of water and who knows what else. It's never been totally explained to me what's going on back there, but why else would they need so much of my backyard if it weren't going to be something really devastating? So I'm one of the people that has objected to it. And then the new people who are on the other side of the creek from me, they're planning to tear down the old house there and build up a mega mansion, which they're calling their forever home. And they want to be in their forever home forever. And they did not like the looks of what was going to happen either. We all met with Pete and Dennis, in the yard, had a little walkthrough, but I still never figured out what was going to be, what kind of complex would take up half of my backyard and cause my fig trees and my arborvitaes and my magnolias and my river birches, all of which I have personally planted since I've been living there, and they've now grown up into full trees. It doesn't make sense to me. I can't understand why something like that can't be put on some kind of vacant land somewhere or some type of business area in the parking lot of some business or whatever. 5 years ago, I attended a meeting here with the Public Works and the Community Development and so forth. A whole bunch of people from my neighborhood came over here, and they were talking about the water runoff. And they were going to put some kind of a grate at the intersection of Meadow Drive and Mayfield Circle. And that big grate was the water was coming off the street. And so they were going to have that there, and that was going to take up all the water and then roll it down to the creek. But that never happened, and we never heard another word about that. So I don't know where those plans went. But it's a very stressful situation for me, and I'm pretty sure for the neighbors on the other side of the creek. And then there are two other neighbors on the other side, and I guess they don't really care. One of them has her house up for sale, so I don't think she's really concerned. And there's not as much going to go on in their yards. But in my yard, that's the main focus of this project. And I'm not exaggerating when I say half of my backyard is they're wanting to take it by permanent easement. And if that doesn't work, eminent domain. And I hired an attorney. I have an attorney now who is working with me, and in case it goes any further, we're going to be, I suppose, downtown Fulton County, in Fulton County Courthouse before it's over, because that is my property. I bought it with the money that my mother left me when she died. She left money for me and for my brother, and I took my money and bought a house in Alpharetta. I had been living in apartments and condos, which I had been renting in Buckhead while I was working down there. And when I retired, I wanted a retirement house, and I came to Alpharetta for my retirement house. And I don't want it threatened by nothing like this is going to help more than 3 or 4 people, as far as I can see, if that many. Because the major runoffs are not even being addressed by that creek. And almost everybody up and down the line who backs up to the creek has built a berm, like I have. It took me 3 years, but I built a natural berm. And then further on down, I see that people have privacy fences, or they have natural berms that they have built. And so the water coming off the creek is now down very low to where it's not a problem. The runoff is on the streets. There are no gutters anymore on the streets to run the water down. The new homes are building their own curbs in front of their homes, but the older homes don't have those. They were taken out, I don't know, about the time I moved in there. So I just wanted to...
We typically hold it to 3 minutes, and we're well over 10 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Gone beyond the 3 minutes.
Be glad to have a conversation with you, but this is a public meeting, and
Okay.
we've already been at it for about 4 hours.
And I appreciate you holding to the standards of the public meeting. I did get a little carried away there. So I wasn't planning on speaking. I didn't have a prepared speech. So I just wanted to let you know how I feel about it.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you coming to speak about it. And the good news is, one, I don't believe anybody ever in the city talked about eminent domain on your property.
Yes, I did. I got it in writing.
Pete, would you like to speak to that?
I'm going off of memory. Public Works did not say it, but I think in the letter that gets issued regarding acquisition of property, it has to be mentioned as part of the Bill of Rights for the property owner to understand the process that takes place. They use the word eminent domain, I believe, in the letter.
Okay, so there's a legal requirement to make sure that the homeowners understand the process?
Yes, but we went through it and we basically explained how our process works.
Okay, thank you. So, ma'am, I assure you, nobody on this dais, nobody that's in the city of Alpharetta ever had any intention of eminent domaining your property to try to make it better. And that's, if you were paying real close attention a little while ago when we talked about it. The whole reason we had the discussion tonight was because we heard so many complaints from you and your neighbors about water that we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars drawing up plans that would help solve that issue. But when we went to your property and the other neighboring properties, nobody wanted to help us by allowing us. We don't own that property around there. And so we can only move water through your property. And so we see that you don't want it, you're not going to get it. And we'll make sure to spend that money somewhere that people want us to spend it. And it's been pretty much throughout that whole area to this point. We've had a few people that were willing to work with us on things, but typically we've gone out there, we showed them a design, and they said, no, I don't want that. So, okay, so we'll just spend it elsewhere, and that's fine. But I don't want you to think that the city of Alpharetta is trying to take your property and force you into anything, because you're the ones that asked for this to begin with, and that's the whole reason we started. So if you have any issues, again, feel free to reach out to me or one of our council members. We'll be glad to have these conversations. But Pete has spent a tremendous amount of time and taxpayer money to come up with plans that nobody ended up wanting to use. So thank you for speaking, and feel free to come at any of our other council meetings, because we're here 2 or 3 times a month on Monday nights. Okay? Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I could ask just to get her first and last name for the record, I would appreciate that.
I think Pete already has it. We can probably get it from him.
Okay.
He has our contact information.
Wonderful, thank you.
So that'll wrap up the public comment portion of tonight's meeting. Do we have any reports? I do have one report, and I've lost my train of thought. My report is...
You were going to talk about meeting with the mayors on the opening of the jail.
My apologies. I lost track after that. Yeah, well, we had talked about it earlier, and I said, just so you know, last week, and some of you may be aware that the Fulton County Sheriff has had an agreement to operate the local jail that City of Alpharetta built and ran for decades. He's pulling out because of different reasons, but because of challenges they've got with staffing, primarily down at Rice Street. He's pulling out September 1st, correct?
Yes, correct, September 1st.
So that opportunity is going away September 1st of this year. And so I've had discussions with the council. I believe Mr. Lagerbloom has talked individually with council members to get the impression. So we need to understand that if someone in our community is arrested after September 1st, to get booked, they would have to go down to Rice Street. Now, if you're familiar with what's going on down at Rice Street, the reason he's closing the jail here is because the federal government has stepped in and has restrictions and people looking at how that process down there is. It's just not a very hospitable place. Not somewhere I would want any of you, if you were to have a situation that would cause you to be in the court system. I would not want our residents to have to go down there, and neither do most of the cities around here. It's been great to have that jail open and used, but it's going to be costly to open it back up and run it for the city of Alpharetta. So I have told Mr. Lagerbloom and our staff that we need to be prepared to open up our jail facility as quickly as possible. Mr. Lagerbloom has spent a tremendous amount of time and energy, along with our public safety department and a lot of our staff, working overtime to figure out how quickly we can get it open up and how responsibly and efficiently can we do that. We'll be doing that as soon as we possibly can, but I'm sharing this with you to understand we talked with other mayors last week, and I wanted to update all of council and the public. We are moving forward as quickly as possible, hopefully with a goal of opening up our local jail November 1st. We think it's possible. That's a tight schedule, but that's our goal, is to open up our jail on November 1st. And we've already begun having conversations with our neighboring municipalities that don't have a jail facility on how we can all support our communities using that facility and making it an asset to all of us at this time, because it's a challenge. But I just wanted to get that on the record, let people be aware of what's going on and what our intentions are, because eventually we'll have to bring forward budget changes and staffing changes, to hire new jailers, because we don't have jailers. But just wanted to let y'all know that in reports. So that's my report. Councilman Dorito, it's a report.
Yeah, I just
You can
thought of
report.
something that I've been meaning to say, and while you were speaking, it came to mind. I just want to point out, and I want to acknowledge both Commissioner Thorne and Commissioner Bob Ellis, along with Commissioner Pitts down in Fulton County. As many of you may be aware, there was a big push by the majority of the Fulton County Commission to increase taxes by the tune of about 26%. And I know the mayor and others on the council reached out to our representatives on the commission to express our interest in doing what we can do to help, garnish support to stop that from happening. And both Commissioner Ellis and Commissioner Thorne did an awesome job in getting the public information out there to basically turn the tables, where I believe, Mayor, the vote was unanimous against the tax increase, if I remember correctly. 6-1? Okay. So 6-1. So much congratulations to them. There's not many times that, Fulton County does something that that benefits Alpharetta, but in this case, much congratulations and thanks to our two representative commissioners from this area of North Fulton County who did an awesome job in stopping this from happening.
Any other reports? I do believe we need an executive session tonight. Is that the case?
That is correct. Should be reasonably quick. Litigation is the topic.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to recess to executive session.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Councilman Hyde, second by Councilman Mitchell. All those in favor of recessing into executive session, please vote yes. Otherwise, vote accordingly. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back shortly, hopefully. Do we have a motion to reconvene?
So moved.
All those in favor of the motion to reconvene, please vote yes. We are reconvened. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion, Mayor Pro Tem, Councilman Mitchell's second. All those in favor of adjourning, please vote yes. And it's unanimous. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.